dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
With us here is Maura, and we are standing in Old Westbury Gardens. It's a beautiful night. I'm glad that I picked nice weather for tonight, right?
You got very lucky. No wind. It's mild. It's been beautiful tonight.
Now, you are a 19-year-old intern here. Tell us about that first day. That's what I want to know about.
But my first day, I couldn't find my way to the break room, so I actually wound up having to skip my break because by the time I found my way back to the break room, break time was already over. So.
And then you just stayed.
I stayed.
You stayed.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I started in May of 1999, so I'm coming up on my 24th anniversary.
And what are some of your day-to-day responsibilities here at the Gardens?
So, I mean, overarching, my job is to just make sure that this property maintains the feel of being a gracious North Shore of Long Island residence. So we try to keep things similar to how they would have been when the Phipps family was in residence. We want every visitor who comes through the gate to feel like they're a visitor in the Phipps garden. So that means obviously caring for our biggest asset, which is our trees, making sure that they're not only safe, but that they're in good health. The seasonal flower rotations, we have 2 acres of heavily cultivated herbaceous borders in our walled garden, which is, a job unto itself. So our formal rose garden. So really, I mean, just the idea of keeping these gardens the way the Phipps family would have kept them back in the, the golden era of this part of Long Island.
Now, when you first go through the grand entrance, I guess, which is on the west side, correct? And you see those tall trees, what types of trees are those? And when do you think those might have been planted?
Those are European lindens, and we know that they were actually planted at about 1903. They were brought over from Europe. So they've layered in beautifully, which gives the effect that you're kind of coming through a tunnel. Yes. So we know that they're over 125 years old, and thankfully they're in great shape.
What are the rarest of rare things that somebody might be entitled to see?
I think the rarest thing that we have to offer is our authenticity. I say that all the time, but I can't say it enough. Other gardens from this era have been readapted. They were a university and then they're trying to brought back up. This garden and this property was handed to us like a gift from the Phipps family. It was in perfect shape and it's been so beautifully maintained that we're so authentic. We've never been really altered in any way. So I think that experience is the rarest thing that we offer. Every tree that you see here was planted by the Phipps family. This was Quaker farmland. So this is not like, oh, these trees were here and they planted around them. Right. Everything here is thoughtfully planted. This was all, the house is on a man-made hill. I mean, this was just a blank canvas.
That makes me smile. Now, I'm looking over trees that look like they might be cousins to a weeping willow, but what is the formal name for those trees?
Those are weeping European beeches.
Oh, they are? So I did pretty well. I don't have that same degree, but okay, I'll take that. Okay, so yeah, they're quite lovely.
They are.
So each thing has its own array and its own special beauty.
Yes, and actually the house and the garden were designed by the same person, George Crawley, and that's very unusual. Typically during that time you would have had an architect for the house and an architect for the garden. And so it was sort of unusual that we had one person designing both, but I think it made for a beautiful marriage between the two. It's an ensemble. The house would not be the same without the gardens, and the gardens would not be the same without that house in the background.
Did you ever think as a little girl you're going to grow up and that this would be your journey?
I'll tell you, I used to come here with my mother and my 4 sisters probably once a month. And so it really is something of a dream that I now, get to work in a place that I always lived in such awe of as a young girl. And my children love coming. So it is, and I always say I never stop appreciating how beautiful it is and the fact that I get to come to work here every day. It never gets old.
And it's all dressed up in splendor of lights, right? We are here at the Shimmering Solstice. Tell us about this particular installation.
So we had been, for years, the Phipps family was not here in the wintertime. So this garden was not really designed to have that much interest in the winter. Some gardens are, with lots of evergreen features. So we always thought it was sort of a shame. The gardens would go to bed at the end of October and they wouldn't wake back up again until April. And so we had this beautiful place that was largely closed up for the wintertime. And so the thought was that that rather than blooming with flowers, the gardens at this time are blooming with light. So we have installations that are meant to highlight some of the architectural features. When you go into the wall garden, you'll see one of our character-defining features is this beautiful pergola, and so they've lit that so that people can really see and appreciate its architecture. I almost feel you would appreciate its architecture more in the winter when the flowers have all sort of died back. And even just, the borders themselves. I mean, the paths, the winding paths, the statuary, the fountains. It's just a way to really see the gardens in literally and figuratively a new light.
And there are a lot of caretakers here, right?
Oh.
Other people that have been here working with you for a really long time.
Yes, believe it or not, at 24 years, I am not by a long shot the senior person in the horticulture staff. We have 3 people who have been here longer than me. It's a place that, when you care about it, you really want to stay and care for it. It's hard to imagine wanting to be anyplace else.
Well, I thank you so much for inviting us on this journey. And it's, me too. I'm such a sentimental goober. I really am. So sentimental. And it's lovely. And even though I wasn't born on Long Island, I was born in St. Louis. It's nice to feel like this is part of my extended home. So
I'm so happy to have you. And like I said, you have to come back in the spring and let us show you around in the gardens, the greenhouses, and you can see behind the scenes.
cannot wait.
All right.
Okay, stay tuned and come walk with us. It is the shimmering solstice here at Old Westbury Gardens.